The Cherokee tribe was the first to inhabit what is now the eastern and southeastern United States. However, a significant portion of their population was forcibly relocated to the Ozark Plateau. One of the tribes referred to by Native Americans as the Five Civilized Tribes, various Cherokee bands played an important role in colonial America and United States history. Remember to hit the like button because it helps us a lot. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and press the notification bell to not miss the upcoming interesting videos. The name Cherokee originates from an older pronunciation, Soaji, found in the Creek language. The Cherokee people's original name for themselves was Aniyunwiya, translating to principal people. Speaking an Iroquoian language, they developed their own writing system thanks to the efforts of Sequoyah. Evidence indicates that the Cherokee migrated from present-day Texas or northern Mexico to the Great Lakes area in prehistoric times. Nevertheless, conflicts with the Iroquois and Delaware tribes who exerted control over those territories compelled the Cherokee to move southeastward into the mountains and valleys of the southern Appalachian chain. Ultimately, they established settlements in modern-day Virginia, West Virginia, North Carolina, Tennessee, Georgia, and Alabama. The Cherokee people's economy, much like that of other tribes in the southeast, centered primarily around agriculture. They cultivated crops such as corn, beans, squash, sunflowers, and tobacco. In addition to farming, they pursued hunting with bows and arrows, targeting animals like deer, bear, and elk. Smaller game like raccoons, rabbits, squirrels, and turkeys were hunted using blowguns made from long cane stems, which propelled wooden darts with feathers. Fishing was accomplished using hooks and lines, spears, and traps. Gathering wild plant foods such as roots, greens, berries, and nuts provided another essential source of nutrition. Traditional Cherokee attire was distinct. Women wore skirts woven from plant fibers, while men donned breechcloths or leggings. Men adorned their skin with paint and tattoos, while women sewed feathers into lightweight capes crafted from netting. The Cherokee were divided into 7 matrilineal clans, and their permanent villages were commonly situated along rivers and streams. Each Cherokee family typically inhabited 2 types of dwelling. During summer, rectangular houses with cane, clay walls, and roofs made of bark and thatch roofs, while in winter, cone-shaped houses with pole frames and brushwork covered by mud or clay were employed. The Cherokee people exhibited skilled craftsmanship, creating both pottery and baskets. Their interactions with outsiders date back to 1540, when the Spanish explorer Hernando de Soto first encountered them in the Appalachian region. However, challenges arose. By 1715, smallpox had reduced the Cherokee population to about 12,000. During the colonial struggle for dominance in North America between the British and French, the Cherokee played a pivotal role. They provided warriors to support the British, but revolted against them in 1760 in the Cherokee War under Chief Onkosota. As the American Revolution unfolded, Cherokee members intermittently supported Great Britain, launching sporadic attacks on distant settlements as pioneers encroached on Cherokee territories. In 1785, multiple Cherokee bands engaged in negotiations that resulted in a peace treaty with the United States. However, resistance within the Cherokee ranks persisted for a decade beyond this agreement. A subsequent treaty in 1791 reaffirmed previous terms. While a portion of Cherokee land was ceded to the United States, the tribe's enduring rights over the remaining territory were solidified. Between 1790 and 1819, a notable segment of the Cherokee population embarked on a departure from their ancestral lands, earning the name Chickamauga. Under the leadership of Chief Dragging Canoe, this faction formed alliances with the Shawnee and, aided by the British, launched raids against colonial settlements. An influential figure, John Ross, emerged within Cherokee history. Before the Revolutionary War, his father immigrated from Scotland, and his mother was a quarter-blood Cherokee woman. He began his public career in 1809. With the Constitution's framework still applicable, the formation of the Cherokee Nation took place in 1820, marked by the election of public officials. The Cherokee established a republican governmental system modeled on that of the United States, featuring an elected principal chief, notably John Ross, a Senate and a House of Representatives. In 1827, they drafted and incorporated a formal constitution, officially establishing themselves as the Cherokee Nation, with John Ross at the helm until his passing. Meanwhile, valuable gold deposits were discovered on tribal lands in northwestern Georgia, eastern Tennessee, and southwestern North Carolina. In 1819, Georgia made an appeal to the U.S. government, seeking the removal of the Cherokee from their lands within the state's borders. Failing in their appeal, Georgia then pursued land purchase negotiations. In response, the Cherokee Nation passed a law that strictly prohibited any such sale under the threat of death as punishment. Starting from Thomas Jefferson's presidency, the United States had followed a policy of encouraging Indian assimilation or civilization if they remained east of the Mississippi River. This approach required settling in fixed locations, practicing agriculture, transitioning communal land to private ownership, and embracing democratic principles. By 1828, the Georgia legislature took a drastic step by outlawing the Cherokee government and confiscated tribal lands. President Andrew Jackson rejected the Cherokees' pleas for federal protection. In 1830, the 5 civilized tribes comprising of the Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, Seminole, and Cherokee inhabited territories east of the Mississippi River. Despite the Cherokees' efforts at assimilation, the position of the tribes was not secure. Some felt the presence of the tribes was a threat to peace and security. Historical context revealed that many Native Americans had previously fought against the United States, often receiving arms from foreign powers like Great Britain and Spain. Moreover, white settlers and land speculators coveted the territories occupied by these tribes. Consequently, various U.S. state governments aimed to assert jurisdiction over tribal lands within their boundaries. When Georgia moved to enforce state laws on these lands, the Cherokee mounted a legal challenge in the U.S. Supreme Court. The court's ruling determined that while Indian tribes were not considered sovereign nations, state laws had no force on tribal lands. However, in 1830, President Andrew Jackson openly defied the court's decision by enacting the Indian Removal Act. This act granted the government authority to engage in negotiations for removal treaties with various tribes. The Treaty of Dancing Rabbit Creek with the Choctaw was the first such removal treaty implemented. While approximately 8,000 Choctaw members chose to remain in Mississippi, around 14,000 were compelled to migrate along the Red River. In 1835, a pivotal moment arrived with the Treaty of New Echota, where about 500 leading Cherokee agreed to relinquish their tribal territory. In exchange, they were promised $5,700,000 and land in the Indian Territory, now Oklahoma. However, this decision was met with strong opposition, as more than 90% of the Cherokee population disapproved of the treaty. Tragically, several members of the opposing faction were later subjected to acts of violence. The year 1838 marked a distressing turning point as federal troops forcibly began the eviction of the Cherokee from their ancestral lands. Amidst this turmoil, approximately 1,000 Cherokee managed to seek refuge in the mountains of North Carolina. Those who lived on individually owned land were not subject to removal. Consequently, they formed distinct tribal communities in North Carolina, notably the Eastern Band Cherokee. Meanwhile, the majority of the Cherokee population displaced from their homes endured an arduous journey westward covering some 800 miles, a tragic episode now remembered as the Trail of Tears. This forced migration took a devastating toll, with roughly 4,000 Cherokee perishing due to hunger, exposure, disease, and attacks by bandits during the journey. Further suffering ensued after their arrival in the Indian Territory as disease and food shortages continued to claim lives. Consequently, the 5 tribes themselves relocated to the newly designated Indian Territory, encompassing present-day Oklahoma and portions of Kansas. At this point, the Cherokee restructured their governance under the leadership of Chief John Ross, adopting the titles of the Western Band, or the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma. Once the Cherokee reached Indian Territory, tensions ran high and the suspension of the Cherokee blood law was ignored. Tragedy struck on June 22, 1839, shortly after the conclusion of a tribal assembly, when key figures who had signed the Treaty of New Echota, including Major Ridge, a proponent of the blood law, along with John Ridge and Elias Boudinot, were assassinated. This started 15 years of civil war among the Cherokee. The turmoil persisted into the American Civil War, during which the tribe, following internal divisions, aligned with the Confederacy. Stand Watie emerged as a Confederate general, and other Cherokee from western North Carolina joined Thomas's Legion, a military unit comprising roughly 1,100 individuals of both Cherokee and white descent. This unit primarily engaged in battles in Virginia, amassing an impressive combat record. Thomas's Legion was the last Confederate unit to surrender in North Carolina at Waynesville on May 9, 1865. In the post-war aftermath, a treaty was established with the United States, leading to the emancipation of black slaves owned by tribal members within Indian Territory. Under the General Allotment Act of 1887, uncompromisingly resisted by the Cherokee, plots of tribal land were forcibly allotted to individual members. The federal government proceeded to distribute unassigned surplus lands not allotted to Cherokee individuals. By 1891, the Cherokee Strip, an extension of the tribe's western lands, known as the Cherokee Allot, was sold to the United States. Subsequently, in 1893, this territory was open for settlement, predominantly by non-Indian pioneers, in a well-known event referred to as a land run. As Oklahoma achieved statehood in 1907, the Cherokee government underwent dissolution, and its people became U.S. citizens. Subsequently, the right of the Oklahoma Cherokee to elect their own chiefs was revoked, were appointed by presidents until 1970. At that point, a congressional act endorsed by President Nixon reinstated the Cherokee's autonomy to elect their leadership. The first elected chief of the Oklahoma Cherokee was W. Keeler, succeeded by a line of leaders including Ross Swimmer, Wilma Mankiller, Joe Byrd, Chad Smith, and the present chief, Bill John Baker. Meanwhile, the Katoa Band of Cherokee maintains its federally recognized tribal headquarters in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, while the Eastern Band of Cherokee is centered in Cherokee, North Carolina. State-recognized Cherokee tribes have headquarters in Georgia and Alabama, while additional Cherokee organizations are dispersed across Arkansas, Missouri, Tennessee, and various parts of the United States. They remain one of the largest tribes in the United States, and many Americans of all backgrounds claim Cherokee ancestry. Among the Cherokee, the Eastern Band upholds traditional customs and crafts, particularly on the Koala Reservation in North Carolina. The quality of North Carolina Cherokee basketry is considered equal to or better than earlier. Economic pursuits in the East encompass farming, forestry, and factory work. Notably, a significant moment occurred in 1984 when the Cherokee Nation of Oklahoma and the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians met in a joint council for the first time in 150 years. This gathering marked the start of a recurring practice, with the two groups engaging in joint councils every 2 years. In various southern states, smaller Cherokee factions without federal recognition are present. The 2000 United States Census reported 729,533 Americans self-identified as Cherokee. An estimated 23,000 people speak the Cherokee language. Please like and share if you find the video content interesting and useful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and comment below so as not to miss the upcoming interesting videos. Thanks for watching.